is obviously Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves can fit together beautifully and be a competitive group, and they can share each other's load.
What? What did he say?
Share each other's load.
Load? What load?
I see a lot of shit too. Like I seen Brian Windhorst on one of these shows not too long ago. Like
Wendy.
Yeah, you played over high school.
Wendy, you guys played together in high school.
Yeah,
right? He was on your high school.
this guy was like, says he's like my fucking best friend.
Did he really say that?
Brian Windhorst never saw it coming. On national television, LeBron James, the very player he had spent more than 2 decades defending, called him weird. Not just a casual jab, but a public humiliation on one of the biggest sports platforms in the world. This wasn't just awkward, it was betrayal. For years, Windhorst had built a career around LeBron, following him since high school, shaping the way the world understood his journey. His journalistic identity was tied to covering the chosen one. And now, the same player he had protected and amplified was mocking him in front of millions. What happened next may have quietly changed Brian Windhorst forever. But to understand how we got here, how one of LeBron's most loyal allies in the media began raising eyebrows and delivering unexpected takes, we have to go back to the beginning of their complicated history. Long before Windhorst was a familiar face on ESPN, he was just a young reporter in Akron, Ohio. In 2002, he became the beat writer covering high school basketball phenomenon LeBron James. LeBron was already a national headline, and Windhorst had a front row seat to history in the making.
I just had more background there. I knew his family. I knew his surrogate father, Eddie Jackson. I knew his mother, Gloria. I knew his friends. I knew Maverick Carter. I knew Rich Paul. I knew Randy Mims. Like, before they called themselves the Four Horsemen, I knew them. I knew Maverick when he was a wide receiver.
And yet he did betray you.
He followed LeBron everywhere. From the NBA draft to Cleveland, then Miami, back to Cleveland, and finally Los Angeles. At every stop, Brian Windhorst wasn't just covering the story. He was part of it. He wasn't flashy, but he had something no one else did: insider access. His reporting was steady, reliable, and for years he was viewed as LeBron's unofficial PR manager. Whatever LeBron did, taking his talents to South Beach, returning to Cleveland, forcing out coaches, or building super teams, Windhorst always found a way to defend him. But being that close comes with a cost. And over time, fans and media alike began to question his credibility. That brings us to the Pat McAfee show, the moment everything shifted. It was supposed to be a light-hearted interview. LeBron, as usual, brought charisma and confidence. But when Brian Windhorst's name came up, LeBron didn't hold back. He called him weird on air, smirking as he said it. This wasn't playful banter. It was distance. The NBA world noticed immediately. Fans were stunned. Insiders were confused. Why would LeBron humiliate one of his most loyal media allies? Some said he was tired of the idea that Windhorst knew too much about him. Others thought it was just sarcasm taken too far. But former NBA player Austin Rivers didn't see it that way. To him, this wasn't just an insult, it was a turning point. He claimed that after the humiliation, Windhorst started to shift. The safe, cautious reporter began to sound a little spicier. But was Rivers right? Did Brian really change after that moment? To answer that, you have to look not only at what Windhorst said, but also at what he chose not to say. For nearly 15 years, NBA media has been dominated by loud, polarizing voices. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Shannon Sharp. Brian Windhorst was the opposite. He built his reputation on information, not hot takes. He didn't trash players, didn't chase Twitter beefs, didn't yell or attack. That's why LeBron's public jab landed so hard. Windhorst had played the long game, loyal, cautious, and respectful. And in one moment, all of that was thrown back at him.
He is a billionaire because people across the world are attracted to the game. One of the reasons they're attracted to the game is because of the entertainment value that it brings beyond just before the ball going into the basket. I have a few regrets. Okay? One of my regrets is in 2017-18, which was the last year LeBron played in Cleveland, that I didn't vote for LeBron for MVP. And I just gave Harden all those flowers. Harden won the MVP that year, and I voted for him for MVP And I do regret that vote because the longer I've thought about it, the more I've realized how great LeBron was in this season. He was 33 years old. The Cavs, Kyrie had been traded, J.R. Smith game. But LeBron, that game one of the finals is one of the great games of LeBron's career.
He won that game, right?
Yes, and then he goes and he punches he's so angry about the way the game ends, he punches the chalkboard and cracks a bone in his finger. And his numbers take a dip after that. And, people can say whatever they want about that. But that season, I have an incredible amount of respect for it. I'm not even necessarily arguing it's the best ever.
Yeah.
It's underrated. So since this window was opened, I wanted just to shine a little light on that.
Even when Stephen A. Smith publicly said LeBron embarrassed him, Brian Windhorst stayed composed. But in the months that followed, some people noticed subtle shifts. Was it a new tone, or just Brian finally doing his job differently? Austin Rivers believed something changed. He argued that after the humiliation, Brian stopped being so politically correct. According to Rivers, Windhorst started giving hotter takes, saying things like, "That guy's overrated." But was that really true? Some fans point at ESPN moments where Brian seemed more blunt. For instance, during a rough Lakers stretch, he openly questioned roster moves and even hinted at LeBron's influence behind the scenes, territory he usually avoided. Still, was that a dramatic shift, or simply Brian finally sounding like a typical NBA analyst? To complicate things further, Windhorst continued defending LeBron after the Pat McAfee moment. On First Take, during heated GOAT debates, he still gave LeBron the benefit of the doubt while others ripped him apart. So maybe this wasn't revenge. Maybe it was just a journalist realizing he didn't have to keep playing nice forever. But if that's the case, the real question is, why now? Here's the thing. Sports journalism has an unwritten rule. If you want access, you play nice. Insider texts, scoops, and connections all come at a price. And for 20 years, Brian Windhorst paid that price. His career was built on proximity to LeBron. Maybe his lack of hot takes wasn't about his personality. It was about survival. But after LeBron called him weird on live TV, something may have clicked. What's the point of loyalty if it gets thrown away that easily? That's why Austin Rivers' theory cuts deep. Because in a media world built on power plays and politics, LeBron's dismissal of Windhorst wasn't just a joke. It was a message. I don't owe you anything. So where does that leave Brian now? 4 years. His legacy was tied to LeBron. Tag-along, mouthpiece, loyalist. But in recent seasons, Windhorst has carved out his own moments. He shocked the NBA world by mysteriously predicting the Utah Jazz fire sale before anyone else. His now iconic "Why would they do that?" monologue went viral and proved he didn't need LeBron to stay relevant. Maybe, in the end, the public separation was the best thing that could have happened. For the first time in decades, Brian Windhorst is being seen as more than just LeBron's guy. Did the Pat McAfee moment actually change him? Only Brian knows for sure. Maybe Rivers is overthinking a few tone shifts. Or maybe getting burned by the player who defined your career finally pushed him into a new chapter. Either way, the lesson is clear. In today's NBA media, no one is untouchable, not even the king. And loyalty doesn't last forever.